And we're live. Excellent. Oh, a little dark, is it? Okay, 1 second. That help? That helps. Okay. Here we are, Last of Us, episode number 5. Excuse me for a second. I try to not overheat here. Okay, what to talk about? Let me pull up my little cheat sheet here that I took notes on. Okay, so first we're going to talk about a recap from the last review I did there. I said it was Fedra for the town people, right? Like maybe it was Fedra that were looking for Henry and Sam, but it wasn't. It was actually the group known as Resistance. So in that specific city, Fedra were monsters. They were basically raping, killing the innocent people. So you can only do so much to the people before the people stand up and retaliate. So the Resistance is who they are. They're just basically the same thing as Fedra, but they won the war. Best way to look at it, right? So I wanted to correct that. So it's the Resistance that's looking for everyone that's causing the problems. Well, they won't be causing much of a problem anymore, apparently. I say that because, well, we'll get to that in a second. The tie-ins of what has happened in the game compared to the show. So in the game, things are a lot more slower than what we're seeing in the actual show here. So, as an example, Henry and Sam, like they meet in one city, they travel through tunnels, they go to another city, there's an incident, and then whatever happens. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. That was all done in this episode, pretty much. So in the same city. So things were skipped, things were talked about, but just different from how the game is, which is great if you think about it, because if you played the game and you want to watch the theatricals for the whole game, you can go on YouTube and watch them, or you can play the game again. Like, if you want to watch what happens in the game, watch the game. This ain't the game, this is the show, right? So the show, they took different perspectives. Like, in the game, there's a part where some of the resistance or scavengers, whatever, like they were trying to chase Ellie and Sam, as they were going through with some of the infected. They went from car to car to car to car, and your job was to be Joel, and you were to snipe all the infected people or all the resistance as you're getting close to the children. So that was done in this. The whole escape route, everything was planned in it. Now, I'm probably gonna be wrong when I say it's a bloater. I don't think it's a bloater. I can't remember which one it is. The really big clicker version that runs at you. I'm pretty sure it's a bloater. I think you first encounter them in a gym, in a game. If I'm not mistaken, it was in a school, it was in a gym. In this case, they're all the infected were driven underground years prior. Well, with everything that's going on, a truck kind of went through the ground, and then people are complaining about lack of infected, lack of this, lack of that. This episode, there was no lack. At first, you're thinking, "Oh my god, like here we go. We're like 2/3 done this episode. There's still no signs of infected." Um, when that hole happens, they come out. They all start running out. Like hundreds of these things are running out. I didn't sit there and count them. There's probably a good like 40 or 50 you see instantly come out before this big guy comes out. Uh, it puts an end to the resistance, I would say, is one way to look at it. Clickers galore, regular infected, as well as this bloater character. Um, so the reality of like just great job. Even the way the bloater looked, like the makeup effects and everything, just spot on. The only thing I didn't see it do, it's not a problem, was throw the acid, because it was known for like taking parts of it and just kind of whipping it at you, and then everything would be a poof of like spores that would come and can infect you and all that. So that's why in the game you play as Ellie, because Ellie can't get infected. So with that being said, they tied it all in, like all these different episodes and things that have happened in the game are all done in this one episode without having to travel to all these different places. So the story is completely different, yet the same, right? So great stuff there. Now, talking about bloaters, talking about resistance, just finished talking about the tie-ins. So Spoiler alert, if you did not see episode 5 and you don't want to know what happens and you haven't played the game and you don't want to know what happens, stop now. Stop watching. Okay? For those who have seen, want to know, whatever the case is, while this was all going on, all the infected coming out of the ground, there was a bit of a split up. Ellie got into a vehicle. Sam and Henry went under a different vehicle. A clicker ended up getting into the vehicle with Ellie. Ellie got out, of course, and trapped the clicker inside, but she was able to see Sam and Henry underneath the vehicle while two clickers are trying to claw at them from, like, they don't know how to climb underneath, I guess, trying to pull them out, which eventually they do. And at this point, Ellie even pulls out her knife and does the stab from behind. Now, for those who play the game, you get a dagger. I think you get like 2 clicker uses out of it, or you use it 5 times for jimmying doors, whatever the case is, before it breaks and you have to find parts for a new one. So she saved them by doing the back of the neck. I can't remember what the name of that part is there. Kills them pretty much and saves them. They end up sort of getting away. They kind of paused at the moment that this lady, oh my god, I forgot her name. I should have wrote that down. The psycho that was running the resistance, and I say psycho because there's a line that said to Henry throughout the episode in regards to, like, even children die, and she's a very sadistic bitch, to say it in the nicest way. So I was happy to see what happens to her as a clicker jumps quickly on her, which doesn't happen in the game, and starts eating away at her. And then that's when Joel's like, run, and they just run through a field and end up to a hotel. Now, in the hotel, Ellie's sitting on the bed in the bedroom with Sam, which Sam is deaf. I don't know if you guys are on to that part yet. It should be. He's deaf, but he's not deaf. He just doesn't really speak. But he does understand. He can actually write stuff too. So he has a special thing hangs around his neck that you kind of like, you lift it up, and then it's a clear screen. You write with those little special things like the magnetic, whatever. So they're having back and forth with him and Ellie. Henry comes in and says, it's like, it's time to get some sleep, go lay down. So he does. Once he closes the door, Ellie's like, let's finish reading our comic. And they continue the conversation about, like, are you scared and whatnot? I was like, what makes you think I'm not scared? So Ellie admits that she's scared all the time, even though you don't see it on her face or whatever. He then shows her that he was bit. And Ellie's first instinct was, my blood heals. Like, thinking it's that simple, right? She takes her dagger, she cuts her hand open and starts rubbing Sam's ankle, trying to put her blood over top of the wound of where he was bit. And thinking, hey, this is gonna be great. Now, with that, they go to sleep. She wakes up, and Sam just kind of sitting on the edge of the bed looking out the window. And she's like, hey, it's gonna be okay. So she goes to go around. When she tapped him on the shoulder, all of a sudden it's like, man, and getting attacked. They come flying out the bedroom door. They're on the ground. Henry and Joel, they both get up really quickly. They're staring at them. And Joel goes to reach for the gun. Henry grabs the gun, points it at Joel. And he's like, he's in a panic. Like, what do I do? What do I do? Because Henry's never killed anyone. Let's remember this, right? So he in a panic rut, he ends up shooting Sam right in the head to get him off of Ellie. But then he's like pointing the gun back at Joel and he's like, what'd I do? What'd I do? Like, he's all like, oh my God, I just killed Sam. I believe that's also sort of kind of along the lines of what happened in the game, but he ends up taking his own life. He shoots himself in the head to make sure no one else suffers, which I would assume that's what he's thinking before. It was the last thing that went through his mind before the bullet did. So in a way, it was like, it sucked, but at the same time, it was expected. So because they were in a remote area, the respect that Joel had, and I guess Ellie too, doesn't like have this dialogue or anything, but the respect they had for Sam and Henry for being helpful and being like what they were, right? Um, Joel had actually gave them a proper burial. He had dug up the graves. They've put them in there. They covered with dirt. They left bags behind. Ellie took Sam's little thing there and wrote, I'm sorry on it and left it behind and started walking away. Joel stared at it. And then I don't know what was going through his mind in regards to like, what did you do, Ellie? Like, did you do this to him or did you try to heal him? Like, what did you do? So it's left very open to your thoughts of what you think Joel is thinking about Ellie now. But he throws the shovel, he puts his bag on his shoulder, grabs his new sniper rifle acquired, and continues his journey down to follow Ellie to the next city. So that was the proper burial. That was the tie-ins, bloaters, resistance, and the blood medicine. So those are the main things. There was a lot of dialogue caught. So with that dialogue that was caught and explained, that's how I was able to tell you guys about the resistance. So everything that happened in episode 4, um, that would leave you questioning, like, okay, what's this or what's that? What's going on here? Everything was answered in episode 5. So everything is basically seems to be on course for allowing this show to be what it is, as good as it is. And then much like every show that you end up falling in love with, you gotta wait a week to see the next episode, which sucks every single time. So what can you do? So in about a week's time, you guys will see me again in regards to the next review. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Hopefully I didn't spoil anyone else's viewing of it. Like if you're worried about people spoiling what happened because you haven't seen what happens, perhaps don't watch the reviews until afterwards. So I had to make this last night right away, but I didn't want to. I was too tired. I went to sleep. So you guys have yourselves a good one. Happy Valentine's Day for those who are out there celebrating this kind of day. And for those who aren't, don't feel bad. Tomorrow, I'm sure all the chocolates will be half price. Have a good one. And.